My grandfather's Choctaw and Houma, and he's from the Grand Couteau community. And they said, well, where are you from? Well, you come from your mother. We're matrilineal. So I come from the Bayou de Large / Thériault community. Even today, if you run up to one of our people and you talk to them and you say, hey, where are you from? I might live in New Orleans now, but you say where you're from, and I'm from the Bayou de Large community. And they know exactly if you're Houma or not. Because I was the first, and actually first and last, I guess. I was the first person in my family to go to school, to actually be allowed. Until 1963, Native Americans in our area, part of Louisiana, we were not allowed in public school. 63 was the first year we were allowed in public school. And so that was the first year I got to go. And quite a few other people. Out of 78, I think 78 people that I knew that went to school in my area, Native Americans, I'm probably one of 7 that actually graduated. And I knew the stories because I became, a couple of people in my family are tribal storytellers. I'm actually the last one. The tribal storytellers that were before me, they've all passed away, so I'm the one that gets the burden of keeping the stories now, which is a good burden. It's a good burden. But so I used to sit down and I'd listen to these stories and listen to some of the things that they would say, and then I started reading about the Choctaw and reading about the Mobilian and the Muskogean, and start realizing that a lot of the words and a lot of things that my grandmother was speaking or working in was Mobilian. And a couple of people had come through the community and studied the Mobilian language, and she was one of the people they would go to. And so at an early age, I started getting really involved in saying, teach me that language, because there's a lot of Choctaw speakers, there's a lot of Muskogean speakers, but very few Mobilian speakers, and I just didn't want to see that language disappear.
Can you tell us how the project came together to the start?
I'll leave that up to you. I'm playing that. Okay. No, actually, the project was, nothing's an accident. I don't think anything's an accident. About 4 years ago, I was working. I had finished a dictionary. I'd been working on a lot of different things at the time. And I teach school. I teach in New Orleans. And I teach, right now, I teach preschool through 2nd grade. Creative writing, visual arts, and music. Well, about 4 years ago, I was sitting in the classroom, working with my children, and I had 2 children that had a really bad staph infection. And they admitted me to the hospital because it's airborne. And said, you're not going to make it. You're going to probably die. And I went, okay, so I went to ceremony, I got myself prepared to croak off, die. And so I did all of that, went under, and came out 5.5 hours later because they gave me a 7 out of 10 chance that I wasn't going to make it anyway, even with the operation. So I got up, it was cool, I was completely healed, everything else. So I called my wife and I said, you know what, I've been thinking about this calendar. I had put this calendar together. I'm going to write these songs down, and I'm going to do them traditional. And just like I've learned at some of the old grounds that I used to go to. And because a lot of the elders said you need to speak, you need to do these songs in Mobilian, something that you need to bring back. And so I've done quite a few stomp songs and a lot of traditional songs, but I wanted to put something together that talked about our year, 13 moon year that we have a calendar. And so I called my wife and I said, you know what, I made it, bring me my notebooks. And that's when it started. I started it off in a hospital room. And I finished it out in New Orleans, sitting at a cafe on Magazine Street. That got developed. I did a digital. I finished all the songs. I did a digital, and I recorded it and put it on a disc and just let it stay like that. At least if I'm gone, it'll be, you know, somebody will maybe pick it up and do something with it. What was really interesting, I had a person, I was playing it in my car one time, just me, vocals, hand drum, and a rattle. And somebody with the Arts Council that I knew was listening to me as I drove up, and she said, "What is that? That sounds really good." And I said, "That's just me doing my 13 minutes calendar of traditional songs, you know, prayer songs." And she says, "Can I have a copy of that?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" So I cut her a copy and gave it to her. About a year later, about 2011 I think it was, I get a phone call from the Arts Council and from the New Orleans area, and I was nominated and I won Musical Artist of the Year for 2011. And I went, "For what?" They said, "For your 13 Moons CD. I said, "I don't have a 13 Moons CD. The word, it got around. It got around. Plus, well, you know, I worked for Jazz Fest and I played music and, you know, other things. And so they gave me this award for an album I didn't even do yet. You know, I got there and we hit the ground running. I mean, it was just unbelievable. We just worked for days and days when I got there, and we did, I don't know how many concerts in France, about 6 or 8, something like that. And then I did some lectures at some universities and all. And everybody was going, "Wow, you know, can we get this album? Or can we buy this album?" They thought we had been together for years, though little did they know we only first met physically just a couple weeks earlier, you know? And so it worked out. And then the album, we recorded the album in France, and then we said they want to come over and do it here. And now you're hearing it. Your first, New York is actually, New Orleans was the first to really hear it, but New York is the next place to hear it. So now we're here. And what we're going to do is, I don't know what we're working on. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to give you 13 Moons, and as I'm doing the songs, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. So at this point, me, Grayhawk, and the Mescal Jazz Unit, all the way from southern France, so we have New Orleans connection, jazz, and the French connection down in the lower part of France. We're going to give you a nice little concert and hope you enjoy it. 13 Moons.